make sure I have weighted tangents, and then spline to spline, and hit save. So what we're doing here tonight is we're going to do a cycle, right? So that when you play, it's a complete loop. So with the walk, we started on frame, probably you guys shout out, 0, right? And then we went to frame 30, right? So for the run, it's faster than the walk. We're going to start on frame 0 and go to frame
15?
20?
Yes.
Oh,
And then halfway between will be 10. Yes. So then halfway here will be 5. And then here would be 15, right? So this, and this are going to be our extremes, and then this is going to be our passing positions here, right? So you're going to start with, one leg forward, one leg back. Not on the ground, but airborne running. This is going to be the opposite pose, and then this is going to be the same as this. And in between here is going to be I'm running, with passing position. So one foot's on the ground, this one's repositioning to get them out to the front, right? Just like a walk and everything else, your hips and your shoulders do the opposite. I mean, your arms and your legs do the opposite of one another. So if your left leg is forward, then your right arm is forward, and your right leg is back, so your left arm is back. Right? So you're going to get that twist in the torso. So this is a case of, don't just move this thing, move everything that you need to get that around there. So if you just take the arm and move it forward, this arm moves backward, you're going to end up with this kind of a run. I am running, right? Which looks really stupid. You know what I mean? You got to get that twist in there so that you think of like a comic book, like really dynamic comic book drawing, like The Flash or like Superman or something, or Spider-Man. Like they do a lot of like twisting, right? Because it's a cool pose, it's a dynamic thing. Like you would never draw it like, I am running forward. I'm gonna run this way. I'm gonna run like this. Like you wouldn't draw it like that. So don't pose it like that. Because that looks dumb. Technically it's right, like the arms and legs would be the opposite, but like that's stupid. Alright. So how do we start? Well, you're going to make sure you have your timeline starting at frame 0 and going to frame 20. Right? 0 to 20. Let me see. Let's do something like that. Run. Whoops. Alright, let me turn off the station controls. Alright, so to start, well, actually, let's talk about a run a little bit first. When you're running, your body is moving forward at a much faster pace than when you're walking. So when you're walking, you're doing a lot of side to side. So your feet are farther apart than they are usually during a run. With a run, your feet tend to be more centered so that you can run this way or you can run this way. And because you're moving forward, you need much more stability in front of you than you do when you're walking. When you're walking, you're moving forward, but you're also moving side to side quite a bit. So when you run, you need to have that stability in front of you because you're also leaning forward, which helps you run. You're basically falling forward and you're letting your body fall a little more than you do in a walk, which makes you go faster. So runners that are really fast tend to lean forward quite a bit and push off the ground quite a bit harder with their legs, which makes them forward more, which makes them fall more, which means you got to move that next leg faster to get. You ever see somebody that has been running? Like little kids do this all the time. If they're running down a hill, they get to the point where their legs can't keep up, and they're like, wow, they get to the bottom, and they're like all flustered. Like that, the bottom of the hill. If you've never seen that, check it out. It's really fun. So the point of that is you want to keep your feet kind of centered. Not necessarily on a rail, like zeroed out in front of you, but pretty narrow. Like for a walk, you might kind of have the feet out like this, right? But for a run, they tend to be much straighter. And like these aren't rules. Like you could do a run where the feet aren't out straight. That's more of like a pretty high personality run. We had a thing with Sid, the sloth in Ice Age, where he's got a very low crotch, right? So he kind of looks like this, right? Got an eye here, and teeth, and his long neck. And he's kind of got this like pear-shaped body, like a guitar almost. And then he's got these stumpy legs with big feet, very low crotch, right? So to get him to run, it was a big pain because he doesn't have the clearance to get his feet in a good passing position. So we cheated this quite a bit. If he did run, instead of his foot coming forward like this, we would bring his foot out, almost like if you were going to step over something low.
Yeah.
You know, you ever step over like the side of a kiddie pool or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
We would do a lot of like leg swinging stuff, which gave him kind of more of a comedic, goofy kind of shuffle when he ran. Or we would frame the shot so that, and this is what you're seeing on screen, we'd frame it so that his lower body is actually off frame, off camera. And then we just make him run like a Muppet, just kind of do one of these. Like, I'm running, but we didn't actually even animate anything from here down because you're not going to see it. So you can cheat it. You can't cheat it with this cycle. I'm just giving you an example of how you would handle something that's a little awkward. This guy luckily has long enough legs and enough clearance that you can do a decent runs and not get too messed up. So, all right, just like everything else, we want to get the lower body working first before we do the upper body. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Lean forward a little bit. And it doesn't really matter which leg you have going forward first. Yeah, so it's stretchy things by default. Yeah.
Cartoon expression.
Works pretty well. I am going to twist his hips right now, though, too, because I'm getting some weird breaks and stuff, so that'll help me a little bit. All right, so this is going to be my frame 0. So I'm just going to key this, and the hips, and the waist. And it's going to be the same on frame 20, so I'm going to key that. Frame 10 is going to be the opposite of what I have here already. So these are going to be positive, whatever I set them at, right? And this leg is going to be back here now. He's going to eat it in a second. Sing along, that's fine. Keep going. Alright, so I just put this foot here before so that I have it for reference. Oh, let me set this up to play. Play the time. Alright, so in between here, you know, like frame 5, this foot's going to be pretty much flat on the ground. Maybe actually back a little bit. And this is when he's going to come down on this foot, so I'm going to bring this down like this. I'm going to zero this out and Y. And then what I did here, where I brought this down low here, I got to make sure that I bring it back up in frame 10. And then frame 15 is going to be low again. So I've got the up and down kind of with the body a little bit now, and one foot started. I'm nowhere near done. It's just got a couple keys in there. You can start to see what this is going to look like, right? I just want to make sure that I'm getting some decent movement out of this so I can start to fine-tune things here. All right, so where do you go from here? What do you think I should do next? Thinking about how we did the walk. Right. So probably do his hips, start to do his hips a little more, maybe get some Z rotation in the hips for these passing positions. We can do that now, let's see. So this would kind of swing down like this. And then the opposite. Alright, so that's starting to look good. And what's good about this rig is when you do the hips and the shoulders, you get all this torso stuff for free, which is cool. You don't have to go in and really mess with it too much. One thing I want to do is make sure that I get a really solid planning of the foot, right? So what I'm going to do is probably on frame 2. I just copy that one key over. Just want to get solid. And notice I'm not letting his legs stretch out, right? I'm trying to get it as straight as I can without breaking it. So when it pops like that and you see it go straight, you don't want it to pop. Just get as close as you can so that you still have a little bit of a bend in the knee. Now, in between here, you can see I've got the foot dipping through the plane here, the ground plane.
And that's Maya.
Yeah, that's Maya trying to do your job. So what you want to do is fix that in the graph editor. So this is where a lot of you still have problems. The reason this is dipping below is because Maya is letting these curves do that. So there, the foot is fine. Here, the foot is fine. In between here, see where this dip in the graph is? That's what's causing that. So I can take this right here and I can make these linear tangents. And now they'll stay nice and flat in between there. See that?
Or the flat tangent? Can you click on that?
You could do the flat tangent. The only problem with that is that now it's slowing in and out of those keys. So I'm going to get this slowing in and out of those foot poses, which I don't want. I just want one constant movement. So I'm going to make these linear tangents.
So in what situation would it be better to do the flat?
Flat. If you want something to slow into a position. So let's say you're doing a ball that's rolling to a stop, right? You would want it to slow down. But if you're doing something that's going to go and hit and stick, you wouldn't want it to be flat because it's going to slow into that pose, you know what I mean?
But you can still flatten the tangent and then grab the piece and kind of
yeah, you can adjust it.
So
Yeah.
so it's kind of still has a small little.
Yeah. So we're just going to eyeball this so that we get some nice motion. So we've got decent motion when it comes down here. Maybe this could kind of come out a little bit more so we get a nicer arc. It's all about arcs. Maybe let the toe bend up a little bit too. Maybe here it's going to bend up a little bit too. So I get a nice kind of slam of the foot down onto the ground. So then here, I still need this on the ground. So I'm just going to copy that frame 5 to frame 6 and then I'm going to kind of mess around with this. So here, I'm going to let the heel peel off the ground a little bit. Yeah. So here, Maya's helping me, right? So I'm going to go in the graph editor there, fix that. Why do I keep closing the graph editor? Because I'm used to Maya from the 1990s where you had to open it as a separate window. You couldn't just dock it. And it still worked that way. I can't help it. It's just the workflow. So here I've got problems where when I translate it's fine there, but rotate it's fine. Ball roll. I want this to still be flat there. So you can see I'm going in, I'm keying almost every frame on some of this. But sometimes that's what you have to do if you want to look good. The big thing is you want to sell the fact that the character's pushing off the ground. So, the best way to do that is try to get your legs nice and straight for the push-offs. So, on frame 7, that's decent. Frame 8, that foot's way too too much there, like too bent, the leg I mean. So what I want to do is kind of straighten that out and let the foot look like it's really pushed off the ground there.
Quick question, going back to the hips,
Yeah.
you only use that first ring controller,
This
the
one
ring
right
one?
here? Yeah.
You never use the main controller to do the other ones?
Not for hips, because that'll move the upper body also. See that?
Or like
Which I don't want. I want to just move the hips.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, you could use it to cheat it a little bit,
Yeah.
but the problem is it starts to move the upper body, and you're going to get, when you do that, you're going to have to fight against it to keep things looking stiff,
I ran out of
because it moves as a group, right?
Right.
So you want to try to keep the hip movement just in the hip controller. All right, so this is our, maybe I'll let this kind of, I just want to get a nice arc on that foot. So there's our from front to back, right? Maybe I'll let this lag behind just maybe a frame later. Not right now, but later. To kind of help sell the fact that he's pushing off the ground and that's what's causing him to go upward. Now, passing position, like 15, that's very painful for this foot. What I need to do is get this down a little bit. It's back. And probably out a little bit away from his body. You see his knee starts to freak out a little bit. It's because of this pull vector here. So I can do a couple things. I can do that and then animate this pull vector out. Or I can take this and rotate this a little bit, which will rotate that knee out a little bit. The main thing is I want to watch the kink right here, so that I don't have like broken geometry. Although it won't matter too much when you play this because it's going to be quick. But you want to try to minimize any kind of bad deformation in the character while you're working on it, because sometimes it's really tough to get that out of there later. So there you got one leg running. Right?
Yay.
So let me save that. Now, the way that this rig is set up, we can copy and paste that to this other leg. So I can select all of this here. Whoops.
From when it's select the whole rig or just select?
No, just this foot. So the foot that I haven't animated yet, but I have keys on that first frame, I'm just going to delete those keys, delete selected. Then I'm going to go to the foot that's animated, which is this one. Right? I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to copy these, copy selected, and then paste selected on the foot. Then pasting two. So paste selected. So when I play this, now both feet run. Right, which looks kind of goofy. So what I need to do now is I need to offset these, but then also swap the curves. Now, the other thing I'm going to say about this is, before we go any farther, this is to animate a cycle where the guy is running in place, right? If you're going to animate on a movie and your character starts up on a mountainside and he runs down through a valley and up the other mountain, you're probably not going to do a cycle like this. You're going to have the regular step to the ground. It's going to be uneven, and you're just going to go through and animate it straight away. But this is like an intro character animation class for you, so we do a cycle like this. But I've had people in my classes, when I have them animate a character run in a non-straight way, they can't do it. They freak out because, well, how come I can't cycle the other foot? Well, you can't because that's not how it works. We're doing the mechanics, but some people get hung up on math and like plus equal negative, whatever. Don't get hung up on it. That's the tech side of it. If you do a movie or a video game and some little kid in Iowa buys it and plays it, he doesn't know anything about plus equals, minus equals, whatever. He doesn't care if you use IQ. He just cares if the character looks cool when they're running. You know what I mean? That's what you should care about as an artist. Does it look right? If it looks right, then it's right. It doesn't matter if the IK breaks or you cheated somehow by like constraining something to something else. That's all irrelevant. It's whatever looks right. Now, from a tech side, there might be some tech requirements that make you have to work a certain way, and then that's when you would have to worry about the tech side of it. Like there's a requirement for naming conventions or something like that. But as far as the animation of it, it just needs to look right. All right. So what I need to do now is I need to offset the keys on this other foot. So here's my keys, right? I'm going to view my infinity here so you can see forever. So you can see that before and after this right now they don't do anything. So I want to loop these, or cycle these, sorry. Pre-infinity cycle, post-infinity cycle. So that now they do the same thing over and over. So now I'm going to select all these keys, and we've got 20 frames. So if I want to move them forward in time by half, I would say plus equals what? This is the math portion of the class.
How much did you say?
What's half of 20?
10.
Alright, so plus equals 10. So now when I play this, he's running correctly. But I still have to invert the rotations and stuff. Because you notice he's quite broken. Looks like he has to pee. Alright, so what I'm going to do is find the rotate X, right? No, rotate Y. And say, select all these curves. And the second one, because this is the value part of the thing. I'm going to select this right here and say times equals -1. And that's basically just going to, that looks like it hurts. I need to also do rotate X. Times equals -1. It's looking worse. What are you doing? Oh, you know what? Because I didn't do the translate yet. Times equals -1. There we go. So translate X, rotate Y, and rotate Z need to be inverted. And if you see, he only ever has one foot on the ground at any one point in time. And there's a few keys, or a few frames where he's got no feet on the ground. Quite a few, actually. And that's kind of where your performance starts to come into it. So, I mean, don't do it for this. This is more of like a vanilla, run where it's just mechanically running. But if you were going to do kind of more funny run, you wanted the guy to be very like flighty and like kind of when he runs, like maybe you'd exaggerate the up, you know what I mean? And just very like frou-frou kind of run and let his legs like kind of lag behind, right? Or if he's like angry and he runs, maybe he's real heavy and he's going to spend a lot of time on the ground, that can be like a stompy run, right? So that's where your personality starts to come into it. When you start to break away from just the generic mechanical, this is a character running, to like, why is he running? Is he running to his girlfriend on the beach, like, oh, I love you, and there's like harp music playing, and it's like soft focus? Or is he running from a bear? You know, like, you have to think about all that stuff when you're working. But for now, since it's an entry-level class, we're just going to do a mechanical kind of run to get the mechanics of it now. So we've got the hips and the feet. Let's check this out and see how this looks. We're almost done. Don't saw yet.
This side.
Show, isolate, select. You select it. There you go. Now we just have the lower body. If this looks bad at this point, stop and fix it. Because no matter what you do after this, if this part's jacked up, the rest of your run's going to look like crap. Right? Because everything builds on the foundation of this. So if you're not getting good motion up and down, or you've got weird clicks and pops in your motion at this point, fix it, because it's going to screw you up the rest of it. There's absolutely nothing you can do from here up to make your run look right if from here down it's jacked up. From here down is what matters.
Like a tree, right?
Just like roulette. You have to make sure that everything, just to make sure that everything from your waist down is moving correctly, or the upper body's not going to work right. You know what I mean? Okay. Let's unisolate something. All right. So now upper body. First thing I'm going to do is get my hands in good pose. So I'm just going to select these and do this. I'm just going to give them this for now. This. I'm going to save this too, in case he dies on me. Right. Because that happens sometimes. Is there a way?
It's reference. Isn't that?
There's what?
No.
What, if I save it?
Yeah. Should you save it as a file?
No, because I'm not, the character's reference, the animation is in this file by itself. So, like, the character can change, and that won't hurt me. All right. So the hips and shoulders do the opposite. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the shoulders doing the opposite of the hips. So in Y, this is going to lean forward this way. So 0 and 20 are the same. So I'm just going to key that again. And then on frame 10, it's going to be the opposite of that. So it's going to be negative 60. Key that. I'm going to open up my graph editor. Why don't you just dock it? Alright, I'm going to flatten these tangents. So here's a case where you would flatten the tangents, because I want this to slow in and out. Right? So if I cycle this right now, you see how it kind of like hits that pose and leaves it quick when it gets to the front and back? If I flatten these tangents, it's going to slow in and slow out of that, which, I mean, it happens kind of fast, so it's a little hard to see maybe, but you want that. I'm also going to cycle these. So I can start to offset stuff a little bit later. Oh! Minus 2011. Alright.
Windows 7.
The Windows 7.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's not 2011.
No.
If you
Windows
shake that
7.
window, it'll be the only window up.
Oh,
Okay, thanks. Windows 7. Prove me wrong. Any other
Something
window,
else,
it'll work.
that's part of the
It's if you
program,
drag it
so
too
the
far
program-
up, it does it.
Yeah, you can drag it to the side.
Yeah.
Alright, so now in between here on frame 5, I want to get some expert, do some Z rotation in here. So I'm going to rotate this the opposite. Anybody ever see the ending to Little House on the Prairie?
No.
Nope.
I gotta show it to you. 'Cause
Oh.
Well, the, like the
Yeah, what line? No, it's just
Oh, I thought you meant like the end of the series.
no, like the end of the show.
Yeah.
Oh.
The arms up.
Oh.
And it works well too if you play it. Okay, so I've got some Z rotation there. Let's say like 12. Key that, and then on frame 15 it's going to be the opposite, so I'm going to negative 12. Key that, and we'll be fine. I'll rotate Z, flatten those tangents, and these are going to oscillate because I'm going back and forth between two values. Okay. Also, there's head aim, so I'm getting all that head alignment for free, which is kind of cool. That's what I've got so far.
Yay.
Now, you asked before about, do you ever move this to get hip rotation? I don't, but I'm going to use this right now to get a little bit of Z rotation on this character, so that, or X rotation, sorry. I'm going to delete this. So what I want to do is have him lean forward a little more on the run, and then when he gets to this passing position, he's going to kind of go up a little bit. So let's say like 9 for this. And then he's going to lean, lean forward quite a bit on this one.
I noticed you're not using the new technique that you taught us, which was making a no script, I guess, on the...
Oh yeah, because I'm not keying everything on the body right now, so I'm just selecting what I want to. If I was going to select everything and key everything, then I would do that. But I only do that method that I showed you when I'm doing like acting stuff, when there's a lot of different poses and stuff.
I see.
But for something like this, where it's pretty much straight ahead stuff,
That really makes sense.
does that bore you?
No, it's just...
Because you're young.
I don't know how it's...
Alright. I am going to offset this a little bit. So you see what that offset did? Let me unoffset that. Yeah, I'm typing Z. Renaming it Z. Okay. Let me undo that. Okay, so I've put some X rotation in the whole body, right? So see how that looks right there? You see that? Now if I offset this just a little bit, maybe 3 frames. Actually, maybe over 2. You see that little bit of offset starts to add a lot of nice overlapping action to it, right? Where it's not all timed out exactly the same. And I'm going to also offset these shoulders a little bit. So I'm just going to select these. This looks like some kind of weird science thing. 1950s like horror movie or something. Maybe not. Okay. I'm just going to offset these maybe 1 frame. Let's see how that looks. Alright. So
Double closing.
But the other thing I'm going to do too
Playing?
is my translate Y. If I look at this, I should flatten these tangents at the top because I want them to kind of hug those upper bits of the run, and I want them to hit and leave these a lot faster. So I'm going to take these tangents here and spike them. And I'm going to take these and flatten them and free the tangent weight. I'm going to pull these out. So this is like the bouncing ball again, right? So I'm going to let it hug these arcs. And then here I'm going to break these tangents so that I can get a little better shape. You want to have nice big humps. And also in your graph editor. It's like a kindergarten. So, I mean, you may not be able to see that difference, but I can see it already. The other thing I might want to do is take these and just offset this maybe 1 frame, which might break my legs.
Yeah.
Looks like it. But if it does that and it breaks your leg, you can find the frame where it breaks them and select all of your Y and drag it down until your leg isn't broken anymore. So what that did by offsetting that is it helps sell the fact that I'm pushing off with my leg, which is propelling my body upward. So I'm pushing down first the leg and then moving the body upward. If you have it hit on the same frame, it's not going to look like you're pushing off the ground really. You're fighting against it if you don't offset much, you know what I mean? You're working harder than you need to. If you start to offset this stuff, then it really starts to look like he's pushing off the ground to kind of move forward. Let me save that. Alright, so frame 0, let me get this arm animated. So I'm going to rotate this back, rotate this down, and back. I'm going to rotate this up. So 0, 20 is the same, 10 is where it's not going to be forward. So I'm going to take this and bring this clavicle forward. Get this out in front. Get this up a little bit. So I didn't do my in-between poses yet. It's just the extremes. So what I want to do is really let this kind of lag behind. So what I'm going to do is bring this shoulder back a little bit. Let this elbow really start to drag. And maybe really get his hand back. And then when it comes back this way, I'm going to let this kind of lead a little bit more. Let this elbow really pinch up here and let the hand kind of do that. So I get a nice kind of like drag on the hand. Now it looks like I've got a weird pop in this right here where this kind of comes forward. So maybe, actually it's not too bad. It's not too good either. So let's bring this around. I think it's because this maybe needs to rotate a little bit and push forward. Yeah.
So when you did that, you just rotated it and you didn't set the key. That key was automatically set when you rotated
No, I
it.
just pressed S.
Oh, you did.
Sorry.
Yes, I did, so it's curious.
All right. So.
Like he's got a paper
All right.
bag. in his
So
other
now I'm
hand.
gonna. What's that?
Just want to put like a paper bag in his other hand. Don't forget your lunch.
Your lunch is kids. Your lunch.
Can we do some animation like that?
No.
You
No.
wanted to make it interesting.
I do, but I want to make sure that you're doing it right.
Oh yeah, like if one guy can hide, the other guy can do it.
What? My guy's supposed to be paralyzed on the right side. He can't move those legs. I'm going to try to copy and paste this stuff to the other side. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I never keyed my forward position on this. Bit here. And then dip a little bit here. Alright. Cool. Alright, so let me try to copy this over the other arm. So, because these cycle, I do want these to be flat in here, so I want them to slow in and out of those keys. Oh wait, no, that is not correct. If I cycle it, actually let me cycle this first so you can see why I don't want to do that. Just completely cycle. Alright, so you see like, let's look at this rotate X. See how this graph continues over here and continues over here? If I flatten these tangents, now I've got this weird like hiccup in the graph, which is going to cause like a stuttery movement, which is what a lot of you are getting. When you spline your stuff and you just flatten the tangents, you're going to get this weird stutter when you see the motion. Because you got that like stutter in your graph. If I take this and I just hit this button, that'll smooth it. You can even go in and start to kind of finesse these a little bit so that you get a little bit better blend, right? So X, Y, and Z. So this one we might need to adjust quite a bit. So we can probably go this way with it. Yeah. So that's the wrist. Let's check the elbow. Okay, so that's going to be the same thing. Mine does a pretty decent job of matching these up, but like this isn't as smooth as it could be right here. See how there's like a little bit of a, see how it like kind of goes this way and then it goes up? So you're going to want to kind of just play with those tangents a little bit to make that transition a little nicer. And then let's do the shoulder too. So this one we can't flatten because it's going to change direction. If I just cycle this, you can see I've got that sharp peak there. That's going to look awkward when it cycles. So I'm just going to flatten this so that I get a nicer loop there. Basically, you want to try to avoid sharp, jagged edges in your graph editor for motion, unless you're doing some sharp, jarring motion. So if you're doing an animation of a character running and he smacks into a wall, you can get away with jagged curves or sudden changes. But if you want nice fluid motion, and I don't mean slow, and I don't mean graceful, I just mean fluid motion, nice arcs on your appendages and everything, you're going to want nice smooth curves in your graph editor.
Like shivering would be like, up and down.
Yeah, shivering would be up and down. You could probably get away with some jaggedy stuff there. Quick, like stuttery movement. A lot of times if I'm animating something falling, this from the sky, which I do a lot because it's one of our anims that we do for our characters in the game. I'll take and I'll have like every 5 frames I'll have the character kind of sway a little bit like this on the core of the body, and then every 4 frames I'll move their upper arm, then every 3 frames I'll move their lower part of their arm, then every 2 frames I'll like wiggle their hands, and then every other frame I'll wiggle their fingers different. So the result is like anything that's on the exterior that might catch the wind and is smaller is like if you ever saw a skydiver, they've got like buckles and stuff hanging off their outfits. Yeah.
Let's see. So a lot of overlapping.
Yeah. Let's look at YouTube. Also the scrap.
Oh, yeah. Do you look up strategy?
I have 90 shots in that first movie.
Ooh. Maybe you can maybe someday we can show us which part you did, how you
There's a
how you-
lot. It's hard to kind of miss it, actually.
I'm just saying it's possible,
yeah.
especially if you're going to do if you're going to your own demo reel.
Right.
Very hard because you can see some of the stuff that you worked on, how you
I
come
think I have a demo reel on lock.
Way. To get past closes.
Oh, here's another example of cheating. Okay, you see this bit with Diego?
Lord of the Flame.
Hey, Lord of the Flame!
Your tail's on fire. And everyone else.
Okay, see how he's got Sid in his mouth right there? And
Better
then
look out for them.
now he's not in his mouth. We couldn't show that because he couldn't open his jaw wide enough to clear those teeth in the front, so we just cut to him already in the mouth and then cut away and then cut back and cut out his mouth.
That's right, they did cut it out.
Let me see if I can find the. Oh, here's. Really low res. Let me see if I can find some better.
I wish you rent it and you play it as like the last piece of
Yes.
this. We're talking a lot.
Oh,
Oh, wait, didn't we try this before? We looked at it.
I think so. Alright.
I think.
Actually, you know
What are we
what?
watching? I wonder if I can.
Give me a second.
What?
I'll just load the game up.
You gonna show us your super special awesome character?
I'll try to. It might take a little bit to load because it's never run on this machine.
Look at you, you can sell stuff on the computer.
It's just an extension for web, it's not software.
Sure.
So yeah, where I was going with that is sudden keyframe changes are good for quick movements, but if you want the audience to actually see something, it's a good idea to not shake it too much because it's hard to see. But for something like a character falling through the sky, you can show that shake a little bit on like fingers and extremities or like hair. We use it a lot on the Scrat's tail, where we would just like maybe every 3 frames, like do this, and then every 2 frames like really fast. So the result is, as he's flying through the air, you get this like really fast, stuttery movement. Not like we're not doing this with the tail. It's just really quick back and forth through fake wind. Faster. All right. Well, while that's downloading, so that's where we're at with that arm.
It's so horrible.
Let's try to copy that over to the other side. Right. So you've got that. Oh, let's get the Y rotation. Here's another case where we can flatten this.
There we go. That's better. Yes, he is. He does that with his booster. He's looking up to it. You alright?
Alright. And then what's this doing? Let's see. Okay, see this gap right here, this weird spot in the curve? We don't want that. And because this is going between two values here and 0 in the middle, I can blow these away, flatten these tangents, and then say oscillate. So it gives me a much smoother curve there, and it's actually less keyframes too. So if I needed to clean this up later or hand it off to somebody, it's real easy for them to go in and just grab one frame and move it, rather than if I had a key in every frame. Let me just cycle these. Oh, so what happened there is that shark fin. So it wasn't paying attention, and this rotate Z, I only have 2 values, so it wants to loop, so it doesn't have another value here, so it just starts over. If you find a weird spot in your animation, it might be because you accidentally did that. You know what I mean? So that looks good. So let's copy that over to the other side. So I'm going to copy it first. And I don't know if this will copy over that well. Let's see. Copy, paste.
Select the.
I didn't need to delete the keys first. I didn't set any keys on the other side.
Oh no, because you in the animated arm, you only copy up to the arm, and that's the shoulder. That's not good.
Oh, I'm just doing each one separately.
Okay.
I'm doing elbow,
Oh, okay.
selected, selected. All right.
Yeah, getting ready to fight. He said, yeah. Knuckle bump.
So now I'm going to go in and offset these. So here's my crazy spaghetti of a graph
that's
editor.
scary.
Embrace the technology. It'll be fine. Select all the keys. Plus equals 10. There you go. We're done. Now, if I wasn't talking, I could animate a run in about probably 5-10 minutes from start to finish. So I've been doing it so long. I've been doing animation since 1998. Last century. How old were you guys in 1998?
22.
I'm old.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, well, then that makes me like.
Yeah, you was.
No, that's 98.
Yeah.
Was it like.
I graduated high school in '97.
Well, I was
Oh.
10.
I think I was like 12.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we graduated at 22.
All right, so that's the run. Any questions?
Wait, no. I was 13.
Now I could go in and I could start to offset some stuff to make this look funnier, right? So if you wanted to get a little more personality in this, you could go in and start to really go crazy with your graph. So I've got the mechanics working. I could go in and start to really offset these.
Oh, that makes it a lot easier.
That's actually horrible.
Maybe you can spread.
But it looks funny.
Maybe I could take these and like have them lean forward, lean back more. Like there's a bear after me, Scoob. Lean forward. That looks like
That's
Oh yeah, Shaggy does lean really far. forward.
Yeah. Lean back and drop.
You know, I think that there's someday medical science will prove my theory that some people have problems where they have to make sound effects for things. And I think I'm afflicted with that disease. Because I was washing dishes at my house the other day, and I was trying to get something off the dishes, and I'm going, washcloth, and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, this is stuck on here. You got to really get it.
That's why you get like the steel wool thingy, it's just like.
That's what it was. Steel wool, and I was like, quit.
At my house, my aunt refuses to get that, so I only have a sponge to work with. It's
You were,
bad.
you were born to do cartoons.
All right, here's my guy, Floyd Sharpspear.
Such a
This is a kid's game, right?
You know, when we first launched, we were trying to test the naming filter.
What now?
We were trying to test the naming filter, so we were trying to make the most perverse names we could. Because you pick from a like a naming chart. So you pick first name and then like a middle name. It's the first part of your last name, and then the last part of your last name. And somebody named their character Pia Yellow River. It's kind of funny, and you could do it through the thing. That's the only one I think that actually made it through. You couldn't name the character Pia Yellow River. But that name's already taken now, though, so you can't.
My little brothers play.
too.
My little brothers play Toon Boom all the time. My older brother, he's in the Marines. He came over to the house one day. They left their game up. He gets on there and he starts chatting. And he's playing with he noticed he can't put in cuss words. So he's using every other word to describe what he's going to do to these little kids. I will destroy your family. So that Toon Boom sends my family
You mean Toontown?
Is it Toon Boom?
Toon Boom.
I don't know what it is.
Toontown.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Toontown.
Anyway, so they send us a letter warning us that they're going to shut down. Like their names have been canceled and their subscription is canceled, and they call us all this type of stuff.
Well, I'm playing my fall animation because it's loading up for the first time. So here's my guy. Oh, it's still loading. Oh, you know what? It's loading up a ton of stuff. I'm in the most populated area of the game.
You should go to
I like your shoes.
area.
Thank you. I just got those.
Can you play with the kids?
Yeah, my kids play too. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. My
Tiger.
Just take a second for it to load up here.
So cute.
So there's a little bit of a lot of frames on the paws, and just a little bit on the tail, right? To help make it look like it's falling. Let me find a better example here.
What is this?
It's called Free Realms. It's the game I work on.
Don't you have a dinosaur in there?
Oh.
Yes, I do. Oh, this is a good example. Unicorn.
Wow.
So beautiful. See how the tail is kind of flicking quite a bit, and the mane. So there's a lot of keys on the mane to get that flick, and then I just offset stuff to get it to look like it's windy.
I see there's only a few on the feet, the feet should more. They got a bob.
For a game company, do they actually limit you on how many frames you can do?
Jump.
They don't at SOE, which is great. This is pretty full animation. The amount of animation. Here's a run, but it's a dinosaur run, right? But it's the same thing we just did, right? Where you've got 1 foot on the ground at a time. I just ran into volleyball net. Okay. And then there's some off, secondary action on the tail. That's all keyframe. It's not procedural or anything. There's no rig trickery. It's all forward kinematics on the neck or on the tail. So there's a lot of keys on the toes of the T-Rex. You see that? On his back feet.
What's with the arms?
He's got tiny little wimpy arms. And there he swims like a...
There you go.
That's really cute.
Yeah, he's got a really good
And then we have some more stuff coming up. This is the guy that I just animated. It's not actually available in the game yet. This is kind of like a sneak preview thing.
Oh, hey.
So since
You're talking about him, a
you
few
get
weeks
all
ago.
the free stuff.
This thing took frigging forever to
Oh
animate.
Oh,
god.
that's so cool.
Each one of these necks has, there's 10 rings on this neck, times 3, and then there's 12 rings on the tail.
12.
And there's all the animations we have for all the other characters, so they run and they jump and all this stuff. and it's all keyed by hand. There's no IK on the neck or the tail or anything either to help us out with like trying to pose different things.
So you have to do it all.
So it's all by hand, yeah.
Can you make it roar?
I can't in the preview
Can
thing.
the other players see that you just put that up or no?
No.
No.
This is
Yeah, because
client
they'd be
side
freaking
only.
out. Oh, cool.
And we also have a pet version, which is a smaller one. But he's kind of like a baby version of the last one. He's only floating because it's a preview thing. It's not actually, nobody else can see this but me when I run stuff. I mean, other players can do this too if they wanted, but just a preview. But yeah, so there's lots of stuff. Like this guy too, he's got these fins on his neck, and
Oh, you have to animate that too.
so that's all animated. The flap of his tail, where this gets wider and narrower, that's all animated. So
You got a little neck flip.
yeah, just wait for him to do it again. It's like a fidget. Just kind of break up their stand animation.
It's one of the middle.
Gosh, it
The
must
middle
look
one's the
so
retarded
it's
one.
like and all you have to do is
Yeah,
animate.
the two were like,
I didn't have to rig it now.
Jan
Just learn how
Grady.
wicked
The guy that rigged it, we went back and forth several times, and I was like, "You think you could just put whatever on there?" And he's a really good guy, but it's, I kind of put him through hell sometimes with some of the rigs because I really want to be able to do certain things with it.
Yeah.
So I really kind of push what he
So
can
you
do.
work with your rigger very
Yeah,
often, especially if you're being
he sits right on the other side of the cubicle wall from me. And we're constantly back and forth with stuff.
Alright.
It's my rigor.
Um,
I was actually, what suggestions did you give him, especially when you were animating
use
the
that
character,
word.
or in the process of animating? What suggestions did you give him that
This too.
that
Oh,
she
God.
did? That okay, that would work, and she did that.
a lot of times he would do something and I would test it, like how many rings